What's going on to you, Cancer Crabs? So you Cancers have got the Five of Swords, the Moon, the Sun, Five of Cups, the Fool, the Page of Pentacles, the Hierophant, the Nine of Swords, the Ten of Swords, and the King of Pentacles. So, the Five of Swords, okay. So the Five of Swords, the Moon, the Sun, putting aside, you Cancer Crabs are putting aside the past, just the past difficulties that you've had, the problems that you've had with rejection, with things that didn't really go your way, the love that you should have got that you never did. A lot of you Cancer Crabs right now are actually putting that in the past. The Five of Swords represents rejection. The Moon represents ghosting, yes, but it also represents reflection of one's actions and the things that has happened to them and what they could do, right, in the future, just reflection just in general. And then you have the Sun, okay? And then the Sun represents, the happiness that's supposed to come along with understanding who you are. So the Five of Cups now and the Fool represents, well, the Five of Cups represents putting, and the Fool together represents putting aside, like I said before, that past. So maybe, before when you thought about what would have happened to you in the past, it would have put you down. Now you have the Fool, which represents you're not allowing that to put you down. You're actually moving forward. You're moving forward. You understand that the past was there in your life to teach you a lesson, and you've learned a lesson for a lot of you Cancer Crabs, and that a lot of you Cancer Crabs don't have to live the rest of your life dealing with the emotional traumas, right? Because a lot of us, even though we've been through certain things, a lot of us, we may have been, may have suffered from heartbreak, but that does not necessarily mean that every event that happens to us that we don't particularly like, we should take that, right? Because then that makes us a little bit too brittle. It makes us a little bit too fragile, too much so, right? Because the Page of Pentacles represents, so as a result, a lot of you Cancer Crabs now, right, you'll be more open, right, to see if someone's playing games, if someone is being honest and serious about you, because you can't play that dynamic, right, of your past relationships and what may have happened to you, and then pay attention to right in front of you what's going on to know if they're playing games, right? That's too much of a push-pull tug of war. That's too much of a game of a war being played within yourself and outside. You need to be all hands on deck and to understand what's going on around you, so you can know, oh, okay, these people are not really good for me. I need to stop hanging out with them. That's the way that it needs to be. And the Page of Pentacles represents also, the Page of Pentacles, the Hierophant, just your your overall mentality on the situation, right? Like how it is that, how does this person treat you well? The overall quality of your experiences as you are experiencing them and they are experiencing you when you get to know people, right? Do the two of you actually get along? That's the question. Excuse me. And see, that's like I said before, that's the question. But the Nine of Swords now represents, so as a result of this, a lot of you, in the past, you would have been so worried. And now you don't have to be worried anymore, The Ten of Swords and the King of Pentacles represents, this being a situation for you where the Ten of Swords and the King of Pentacles is about, moving forward from this. Yes, we know that you're moving forward, but, you're thinking, the only problem that you have now, Cancer Crabs, is that you're thinking a little bit too much about if you'll ever revert back to your past selves when you were super closed off and you didn't want anyone to get to know you. And the answer to that is yes and no. There may be times in which you could possibly revert back to that, but at the same time, as long as you practice moving forward and you're not keeping that emotional baggage attached to you, the change is permanent. You know what I mean? So let's clarify some of these cards. Let's clarify the Fool. Let's clarify the Fool. So to clarify the Fool, we have the Temperance, the Nine of Wands, the Nine of Cups, and the Four of Cups, right? So to clarify the Fool, the Temperance. So the Fool represents a person, right, who is empty, who a person is ready to receive knowledge, a person who's very much so at the beginning of their journey. And this is what it is that they mean when they say, in order for you to learn something, your cup must be empty. The Fool is what it is representative of, allowing yourselves to actually learn it. Now the ironically, the Temperance represents knowledge, ironically. So it represents that you don't have to wonder about if you're going to turn other people off that could potentially be good for you in the future. You know why? Because you're doing the internal work to actually make sure that type of interaction, how you interact, you don't react, you act, but you act accordingly and justifiably to the particular situation. And what I mean by that is all of that type of stuff like fear and all that other type of stuff, and how it is that you Cancer crabs interacted in the past was a reaction. You don't want to suffer heartbreak because people will let you down. People have played games with you. So in order for you to make sure that type of stuff doesn't happen to you again, you form this protective shell like a crustacean around you. However, right? However, you have to realize that there's no necessity for that anymore, because instead of you being like the clam, right, you're more now like the pearl, where you're valuable, right? Valuable, hardened, a jewel. And the Nine of Wands and the Nine of Cups now represents, so when people come to you with the games, even if they're playing games on you, a lot of you are not necessarily going to be so offended to the point where you'll take it too personally. A lot of you Cancer crabs will much more look at it and understand it for what it is, and understand that you can't hang around these people because they are not healed yet. And you may even understand what games they're playing on top of that, and just still continue to leave them alone. The Four of Cups represents and move forward, talk to other people, you know what I mean, with less baggage attached to you. And that's an amazing thing, because you are more free now. You have less baggage, you're more free. So to clarify, the King of Pentacles, which also represents you, right? How you're moving forward, or what would it look like for you to move forward. Come on, yo. You have the Six of Pentacles, Four of Wands, the Five of Wands, and last but not least, the Queen of Pentacles. So to clarify this, right, to clarify the King of Pentacles, the Six of Pentacles represents, you would be looking to see if a person is reciprocal, if they can receive love as well as give love, right? Because everybody wants to talk about them giving love, but can you receive love too? Receiving love is just as important as giving love. So you're paying attention to if a person can give love, right? They want this, they want that, big whoop, big claims, but can they give love? Can they put in an effort? And like I said before, it's different this time for you Cancers, because if they don't give it to you, you Cancers will just leave. Five of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, they'll try to goad you into an argument, and that isn't going to even work anymore. You'll just bounce.